Hello, welcome to the Self-Learning Podcast by Dr. Sushma Singh. Let us start discussion on Unit 22, Conceptualizing Ethnicity. And our topic is Construction of Ethnicity. Some contributors to the theory of ethnicity trace back its origins in the early works of Max Weber. Weber, in one of his important contributions, namely Economy and Society, first published in 1922 and reprinted in 1968, regards an ethnic group to be a group whose members share a belief that they have a common ancestor, or to put it differently, they are of common descent. He qualifies his statement by suggesting that ethnic membership does not constitute a group. It only facilitates group formation of any kind, particularly in the political sphere. On the other hand, it is primarily the political community, no matter how artificially organized, that inspires the belief in common ethnicity. It is apparent from Weber's statement that biology had little role to play in cultivating sense of belonging. Weber perceived the ethnic group as a status group. A status group may be rooted in perceptions of shared religion, language, or culture. Members of the group, on the basis of shared commonalities, tend to form monopolistic social closure, that is, they refuse to let others enter their exclusive domain. Every member of the group knows what is expected of him in situations of collective participation. They also function together to protect each other's honor and dignity. It is on these perceptions that suicide squads operate in political struggles. Weber also argues that since the possibilities for collective action rooted in ethnicity are indefinite, the ethnic groups and its close relative nation cannot easily be precisely defined for sociological purposes. This profound statement by Weber enables us to understand how political acts of subversion under one regime are celebrated as heroic and patriotic by those who are seeking political sovereignty, and are condemned as acts of treason by those governing the nation states. You must be reading articles in newspaper about ongoing struggle between Israel and Palestine and various other so-called insurgent groups and the nation states. Ethnicity forms complex equations, and simple cultural or ethnological explanations are not enough to unfold its mysteries. Ethnicity as a theoretical tool for understanding complex questions of social interaction and political formulation holds equal interest not only for sociologists but also for anthropologists and political scientists. In a broad sense, three approaches to the understanding of ethnicity can be considered, namely perimodalist, instrumentalist, and the constructivist. Now let us move to the next point, perimodalist approach. The perimodalist approach recognizes biology as the fundamental for establishing ethnic identity. The biological roots are determined by genetic and geographical factors. These linkages result in the formation of close kin groups. Kinship loyalties demand that near relatives are favored by those in situations of command and controlling resources. In contemporary terminology, some favors are rebuked for being nepotistic. Nepotism is defined as the tendency to favor kin over non-kin. This principle of kin selection based on conceptions of sociobiology is not acceptable in societies that claim to be democratic and follow principle of meritocracy. Perry Van Den Bosch explains that in general, ethnicity is defined as a comprehensive form of natural selection and kinship connections, a primordial instinctive impulse which continues to be present even in most industrialized mass societies of today. Sociobiological interpretations of ethnicity assume that there are tangible explanations for ethnicity. Some of the followers of this school are convinced that genetic linkages by themselves are responsible for accentuating ethnic ties. Another group within the same school thinks that biological and kinship ties evolve and are furthered by cultural influences. The explanations offered by various scholars suggest that this school of thought is primarily rooted in evolutionary construction of human societies. Shah and Wong argue that recognition of group affiliation is genetically encoded, being a product of early human evolution. When the ability to recognize the members of one's family group are necessary for survival. Important question in the understanding of ethnicity is how are these sentiments rationalized in the context of empirical situations demanding loyalties. Pre-modelists would argue that kinship bonds and cultural attachments would always reign supreme and govern social and political actions. Greets extend this argument when he writes, the crystallization of a direct conflict between primordial and the civil sentiments, this longing not to belong to any other group, gives to the problem variously called tribalism, parochialism, communalism, and so on, a more ominous and deeply threatening quality than most of the other, also very serious and intractable problem the new state face. It is in this debate that dominates discussions in the construction of modern day civil society in which equality is considered as the only legitimate principle. Differences in terms of culture, language, religion, and origins are accepted and celebrated, but perpetuation of any of these primary attributes for establishing separate political identities within any existing nation state are viewed with disdain. Students of ethnicity are constantly engaged in debating whether ethnicity is primordial or manipulated by individuals with political intents. Now let us wind up the session and take rest. Thank you very much for engaging yourself with the Self Learning Podcast.